You see those shears, you see the calendar says March, and you think it's go time, right? What if I told you that one wrong cut this month could cost you an entire season of beautiful flowers or delicious fruit? It's a terrifying thought, but it happens all the time. Today, we're diving deep into the often misunderstood world of March pruning. I am going to reveal the essential do's and absolute don'ts, the plants you should be pruning right now, and the ones you should never, ever touch this month. Stick around, because you might be shocked by what's on the Do Not Prune list. In fact, let me know in the comments right now which plant you're most nervous about pruning. Let's get into it. So, why is March such a critical and honestly a confusing time for gardeners? It's because everything in the garden is in a state of transition. March is the bridge between the deep sleep of winter and the explosive growth of spring. Many plants are still dormant, which makes it the perfect time to shape them without causing too much stress. Pruning a dormant plant is like performing surgery on a patient under anesthesia. The plant doesn't waste energy trying to heal the wound immediately. Instead, it's primed and ready to direct all its upcoming spring energy into producing strong new growth right where you want it. But, and this is a huge but, some plants have already made their plans for the year. They set their flower buds last fall. For them, a March pruning is a disaster. Understanding this fundamental difference between plants is the key to unlocking a beautiful and productive garden. First, let's talk about the big why behind March pruning. It's not just about making things look tidy. When done correctly, this is one of the most beneficial things you can do for your plants. Think of it as a strategic wake-up call. By removing old, weak, or poorly placed branches, you are doing three crucial things. 1. You're improving the plant's overall health by increasing air circulation, which helps prevent fungal diseases. 2. You're encouraging the plant to produce vigorous new growth. This is especially important for shrubs that flower on new wood, as more new growth means more flowers. And 3. For fruit trees, you are creating a strong framework that can support a heavy crop and allow sunlight to reach the ripening fruit. March is your last best chance to perform this kind of major structural pruning on many deciduous trees and shrubs before their sap starts to flow and they burst into leaf. It sets the stage for the entire growing season. Now, before you make a single cut, we need to talk tools. You might think any sharp blade will do, but that's a myth that can lead to serious plant damage. The goal is a clean, precise cut that the plant can heal quickly. A crushed or torn stem is an open invitation for pests and diseases. For most tasks, your best friend will be a pair of bypass pruners. Unlike anvil pruners which crush stems, bypass pruners work like scissors, with two curved blades passing each other to make a clean slice. For branches thicker than your thumb, you'll want a pair of loppers for more leverage. And for anything larger, a sharp pruning saw is essential. The most important rule of all, your tools must be sharp, and even more critically, they must be clean. I wipe my blades with a cloth soaked in rubbing alcohol between each plant. This prevents the spread of hidden diseases from one plant to another. It takes an extra minute, but it can save your garden. So, what gets the green light for pruning in March? The golden rule is to focus on trees and shrubs that flower in the summer, on new wood. This means they produce their flower buds on the growth that they will make this spring and summer. Pruning them now encourages them to produce a ton of that new flower-bearing growth. Great examples include the popular panicle hydrangeas like limelight, the rose of Sharon, butterfly bush, and spirea. For these plants, you can be quite aggressive. Many gardeners cut them back hard, sometimes to within a foot of the ground, to encourage a flush of strong new stems. This is also the perfect time to prune most modern roses, which we will discuss in more detail. The key takeaway here is simple. If it blooms after June, you are generally safe to prune it in March. This one piece of knowledge separates the beginner from the confident gardener. All right, let's talk about the big red stop sign of March pruning. This is the mistake I see more than any other, and it leads to so much disappointment. You must not prune your spring flowering shrubs right now. I repeat, put the pruners down. Plants like forsythia, lilac, wagula, rhododendrons, azaleas, and mophead or big leaf hydrangeas all bloom on what's called old wood. This means they formed their flower buds at the end of last summer and through the fall. Those buds have been sitting on the branches all winter, just waiting to burst into bloom. If you go out and prune these shrubs in March, you are literally cutting off all of this spring's flowers. You won't kill the plant, but you will have a very green, very flowerless shrub. The correct time to prune these beauties is immediately after they finish flowering in the spring. That gives them the rest of the season to produce new growth and set buds for next year's show. March is a critical month for anyone with fruit trees, especially apples and pears. The goal here is less about a simple haircut and more about thoughtful architecture. You want to create an open, goblet-like shape with a clear center. This structure allows sunlight and air to penetrate the entire tree, which leads to better fruit ripening, higher quality fruit, and far fewer disease problems. Your first step is to remove any suckers coming from the base of the tree and any vigorous vertical shoots called water sprouts. Then, look for any branches that are crossing over each other and rubbing. Remove the weaker of the two. Finally, thin out the canopy to create that open structure. You're aiming to remove about 20 to 30% of the wood. It can feel drastic, but your tree will reward you with a healthier structure and a much more bountiful harvest later in the year. This is a task that truly pays dividends. For rose lovers, March is an exciting time. This is when we get most modern roses like hybrid teas, grandifloras, and floribundas ready for their spectacular season of blooms. Don't be timid with these. They bloom on new growth, so a hard prune now will result in a stronger, more productive plant. Start by removing any and all wood that is dead, which will look brown or black and be dry and brittle. Then, cut out any thin, weak canes that are smaller in diameter than a pencil. You want to focus the plant's energy on strong, healthy canes. Finally, shorten the remaining healthy canes by about 1/3 to 1/2 their length. The most important part of this process is to make each cut about 1/4 inch above an outward-facing bud. This encourages the new growth to grow outwards, creating that beautiful open vase shape and preventing a tangled mess in the center of the plant. If you're ever feeling overwhelmed and unsure where to even start, just remember the universal pruning mantra, the 3 Ds. This applies to almost any plant at any time of year, but March is a great time for a thorough checkup before new leaves obscure your view. The 3 Ds stand for dead, damaged, and diseased. You can and should remove these types of branches whenever you see them. Dead wood is easy to spot. It's often a different color, has no green under the bark, and snaps easily. Damaged wood includes branches that are broken, cracked from wind or snow, or rubbing against another branch. And diseased wood might show signs of cankers, unusual growths, or discoloration. Removing this wood is basic garden hygiene. It cleans up the plant's appearance and, more importantly, it removes potential entry points and hiding places for pests and diseases, keeping your entire garden healthier. Let's zoom in on the most fundamental part of pruning, the cut itself. How you make the cut is just as important as where you make it. The ideal pruning cut is made at a 45-degree angle, about a 1/4 inch above a healthy outward-facing bud or a branch collar. Why this specific angle? It's all about water. A sloped cut allows rain and irrigation water to run off, away from the bud and the wound. A flat cut, on the other hand, allows water to sit on the surface, which can promote rot and disease right at that vulnerable spot. You also want to avoid cutting too close to the bud, which can kill it, or leaving a long stub above the bud, which will die back and become a potential site for infection. Mastering this simple angled cut is a small detail that makes a huge difference in how quickly your plant heals and how healthily it regrows. It's a true sign of a thoughtful gardener. A word of caution about evergreens. They play by a different set of rules, and a mistake here can be permanent. For most needle-bearing evergreens like pines, spruces, and firs, you should be extremely careful. These trees typically don't regrow from old wood. If you cut a branch back to a point where there are no needles, it will likely never grow back, leaving a permanent bare spot. Major structural pruning on these is best left to professionals or avoided altogether. Light tipping back of the new candle growth in late spring is a different story. Broadleaf evergreens like boxwood and holly are more forgiving. They can be lightly sheared in March to maintain their shape, but major size reduction is often best done at another time of year. The main point is, don't just assume your evergreens need the same treatment as your deciduous shrubs. Always research the specific needs of your plant. Finally, your job isn't done once the pruners are put away. Think of pruning as performing a surgery on your plant. Aftercare is essential for a good recovery. The first and most important step is a thorough cleanup. Rake up and dispose of all the branches and leaves you've cut off. Do not just leave them on the ground or toss them in the compost pile, especially if you've removed diseased wood. This debris can harbor pests and fungal spores that will just reinfect your plants. And what about those pruning sealers or wound paints you see at the garden center? For the most part, that's a myth. Research has shown that a plant's natural ability to compartmentalize and heal a wound is more effective than any sealant. In fact, these paints can sometimes trap moisture and encourage rot. A clean, proper cut on a healthy plant is all the aftercare it needs to heal itself. So, let's quickly recap. The biggest takeaways are: know if your plant blooms on new wood or old wood before you even pick up your shears. Always use clean, sharp tools to make angled cuts. And when in doubt, you can always safely remove the 3 Ds, the dead, damaged, and diseased. But the real aha moment here isn't just about what to cut, but understanding that pruning is a conversation with your plant. You're not just hacking away, you are thoughtfully guiding its future growth, its health, and its beauty for the entire year to come. That one simple shift in mindset from cutting to guiding changes everything. Thank you so much for watching. If this guide helped clear things up for you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more gardening wisdom. We'd love to have you in our community. And now, for my question to you. What is the single biggest pruning challenge you're facing in your garden this March? Drop it in the comments below, and let's all help each other out.